And you hear that? Like glass shattered. So yeah, now you can just get a full launch. Yeah, yo, how's everyone doing? Welcome back to the channel. As you see, we're gonna be talking about Steve Fox and all his changes he got in the update, which I was not expecting. It seems with every update, our boy Steve just keeps getting upgraded. You know, same with our duo, King and Steve. They seem to be both getting buffs, and I'm getting happier and happier by the minute. So let's talk about it. Okay.
A few moments later.
So on here is listing that the new Lionheart feature in Tekken 8 has been made more appealing with improved performance for Lionheart. Additionally, various moves that transition to Lionheart can now return to standing position with back input, increasing tactical flexibility. So if you didn't know, prior to this update, the only move that Steve could cancel Lionheart was up back 2. If you did up back 2 and hold back, you would not go into Lionheart. But they have clearly changed that. So in this update, they were trying to focus on alleviating that. So it seems as across the board, all the characters that whatever stance or whatever their style is, they're trying to push that more instead of abusing certain attacks you have, right? Like Victor, like Azucena, a lot of them were abusing the same few attacks, but they're nerfing those moves and enhancing their mix-ups with their stances and all that. So same with Steve here. They went out of the way and they changed it. They changed the way you can cancel his Lionheart. So we will get into that. So as you see right here, I missed it the first time, but even his heat smash you can cancel by holding back, which is cool because just like King, King can also hold back and not do the running, you know, his Jaguar sprint. So now every single attack that can transition to Lionheart can now be canceled. So you can do back 1-2, back 1-2, back 1-2. You can do a stomp over and over, which is insane. Which is so insane. It's gonna take some time getting used to because as you see, these are a lot of attacks, right? In my brain, majority of the time, I already forced myself into understanding how to move with these forced Lionheart transitions. So now that we can cancel all of them, it's gonna be a different game, right? As far as mix-ups and utility of what I want to do. And the big difference to understand is that when you cancel these moves, you're not as plus, right? Which is understandable, right? So if you do forward 2-2, you're plus 11. If you do forward 2-2 and hold back, you're plus 7. Still plus, which is not bad. At least you're not negative. But as you can tell, that when you activate the Lionheart, you're going to be more plus because, you know, the stance moves are a lot slower than doing a jab or down forward 2 and so on, right? So across the board, whatever you do to cancel Lionheart is not going to be as safe, but that is the fair trade-off. So it is insane that all of these can be canceled, and it's so cool. It's really, honestly, I was not expecting this at all. Like up back 2 alone was already, I was like, okay, you know, we'll work around that and see what we can do, how to extend combos and so on. So it was dope to see this change, right, across the board for all of his Lionheart transitions. So even his rising 2-2, so you can just do it kind of over and over. So now in a way, Steve has way more pokes because you can just keep doing this over and over. So yeah, Steve is going to be more of a problem. He seems to have gotten the Kazuya treatment as well, to where they made substantial changes to where the character is going to be a lot more stronger. Like Steve was already a lot more stronger in the last update that they did, but this just skyrocketed. Okay, so next I want to talk about his Lionheart 1+2, his guard break. So this meaty high guard break now cannot be affected by parries, reversals, or power crushes. That is huge. Personally, This is how you know we just be playing Tekken. I didn't know that his guard break could be parried. Majority of the time people are going to just duck it, which is understandable, right? It is kind of slow. For the most part, not everybody can react to it, but for the people who can, they're always just gonna duck and launch, which is understandable. So I never really got to experience anybody trying to parry or reversal it. But the power crush thing is huge, because you got to remember they also nerfed heat burst, right? I believe the power crush effect on it has been reduced. The range on that has been reduced, and so across the board, like, this move got boosted as well, right? Besides the fact just that, but just across the board, this is just wow. So King is a perfect example, my other main character. His muscle armor, right, which is very valuable in absorbing an attack and then punishing. So now if Steve does back 1-2 into 1 and King absorbs it, right, and the opponent sees that, the Steve player sees that, now on the next time, guard break, it's going to destroy the armor just like that. So I'll show an example. So now let me show you this example. So if I do back 1-2 into Lionheart 1, right, King can absorb it. But now if I see that and you hear that, like glass shattered. So yeah, now you can just get a full launch. Yeah, that is huge. And the Steve King matchup to me is one of the tougher matchups. So now that Steve has the ability to just destroy King's armor, which is pretty important in his toolkit, right, to avoid pressure in most cases. So now if Steve gets the read right on the first time, you do one, you do that, then the next time, guard break, just like that, and you're cooked. So that is a huge change across the board for Steve against all the characters who might abuse power crushes to stop him, or just to throw it out. Now they're going to get destroyed for it, and it's going to shatter that completely. So I will take that. Steve mains are just keep on going. So, and it also says that it has chip damage as well. So I'm assuming, so that means their damage is now increased. I don't know if they changed it, because visually when you would do this attack, you would see a little bit of gray health and the health that you took from, you know, getting hit, and it would disappear. But now it seems to be all just one chunk. But it is true that now it has additional damage. So now not only the damage get increased, but the effectiveness of the move itself has been buffed. Also, another huge change, it says the opponent's behavior on block has been changed. The opponent's recovery time has been increased by 5, and the advantage on block has been changed from -9 to -4. So Lionheart 1, this move, which is so good, is now 5 frames safer on block. So I believe that means that we could get a down forward 2 or down forward 1 at least on mix-up. So that is actually pretty good. So that's actually a huge change as well. It says during peekaboo fix an issue where unintended behavior would occur. So I think that's when you're back turn like this and you knock the opponent to the ground. But that one's a little bit confusing, because that's obviously a certain scenario that they would need to get more into. But I believe that's what they're talking about, where the opponent wouldn't go onto the floor, or they're supposed to stay up like how we just did, but not too sure. They also has while crouching too. They adjusted the frame. It went from 18 to 19 frames to 16 to 17. So now it's 2 frames faster, which is huge, because now that means he'll be able to punish more lows than before, and he'll be able to quickly duck, right, and to get this out way more. So it's a huge change. I can't seem to get the input out for some reason. There we go. But as you see, a lot quicker, and we will take that. So that's definitely a great change as well, because you can flicker, hold down back if you do it correctly like that. just like that. You see that? So you can quickly flicker and then get that launch off. So that is a huge change. We'll be able to punish more lows. We'll be able to whiff punish a lot more consistently with a, because this has pretty good range, you know, this has really good range. So that is a huge change. They also added Sonic Fang from while standing, so that's also huge too, because this move is 14 frames, right? And obviously his full crouch down 4-2 is 16 frames. So now our low crushing punishment has became way more juiced up than before, because Sonic Fang, as you know, if they block a low, boom, that is tough. So even the ones that might float a little bit, now you could carry that and to your heart's desire do whatever combo you would want, right? Like slides, for example, right? If you're in heat, you'll be able to launch this, dash, and get a little mini combo, you know, instead of trying to hit in from a down forward 1 and do whatever. You can do that as well. So it's just a lot more options and more damage on certain characters' lows. So overall, Steve has gotten juiced up a lot. This is kind of insane. I have to say, all of these moves are just juiced up. Like having Sonic Fang and the Lionheart cancels and the guard break and just everything together, making his Lionheart 1, which is one of his main, you know, moves that you throw out, because it's, you know, it's always been safe on block. You lose your turn because when it was -9, but now that's -4, you don't lose your turn fully, you know, as much as before. So yeah, Steve is good, or he always was, but he just keeps getting better and better. I don't know where he's at now, but he is great. Steve is great now. So if you've always been interested in Steve, but it was a little too difficult, he's been getting a lot of changes, so now is the time. And Steve mains who've been pushing through like me, hey, we are winning. I wanted to touch on, so heat burst and heat dash is being nerfed, right? This is obviously a universal thing. So at the wall, if you heat dash into the wall and you would crumple to the ground and you were +18, now you're only +5, which is huge. And another thing with the heat burst, which I really like, is that so when you do your heat burst, it will no longer KO, which is so cool. And as you see, you can sidestep heat burst a lot more now. And mind you, this is a buffed up version of King's heat burst, but since there's a universal change to where you can sidestep, it definitely does depend on the character. So like for King, if I try to sidestep this way, it's a lot harder. I need to be a lot quicker. But on the right side, it's a way easier. I can kind of just step and avoid the attack. Look at that, with such ease. So that is also huge. And if you notice on here, it says that you can actually counter heat burst. You can parry them now. So look at that. Whoops. If timed correctly, you can parry heat burst now. I never thought we would see the day, but yes, you can officially parry heat burst. So if Steve, whoops, let's see if we can land this. Damn. There you go. 46 damage. So now you can parry that and get your damage off. That is amazing. So also power crushes as well. So let's see. Look at that. And it shatters it completely. So this is going to be a real telling on who's good and who's not, right? Because there's a lot of people who rely on heat burst, right? And now that we can destroy it with parries and power crushes, oh, it's up. It is up. But yeah, that's all I have to say. I hope you guys enjoy. See you next time.